there's a certain amount of success that you can sort of suck from the marrow of life just by outlasting everyone else.
I love that. Because that is actually fair. If you're willing to put up with it for long enough, then you should deserve some.
And of course, the other thing is, the longer you're in it, the more you learn. The more you learn, the better you get. The better you get, the longer you're in it. So it becomes this sort of cyclical thing of success breeds more success.
Andre King, you're joining me again. You must be one of well, you're definitely a repeat customer on this podcast. You pop up from time to time through the journey. Andre, for those who don't know you, please describe yourself so I don't have to attempt to.
Human, male. Entertainer. The traveller of the world.
Traveller of the mind.
Occasionally. Yeah. I'm all about mind expansion and whatever we can do to sort of free ourselves from the fetters of individual and see us more as one.
Andre, this podcast in this format on Audiana TV has been interesting for me because it's asked me to look far back into, I guess, my ancestry, being half Kiwi, half Cook Island, and also to be like, what was the reason people in the early days, navigated into the unknown? I guess the reason was the pursuit of finding or, exploration. And it gets confusing for me in today's society because I think it's still that case, right? You got to keep moving, you got to keep moving forward, you have to keep adapting. Except we don't act that way. We act like once you've got a house and a stable job, you've reached the end you finished the game. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No.
Okay, good. Then we're on the right path. We're on the right path.
No, because I kind of know what you're talking about. In 2010, I immigrated to the UK, was working as a comedian, and then by 2012, I thought, you know what, I've hit the pinnacle of what I'm doing in my career, and then I went and did a show in Jakarta, and there was Bill Bailey and Glenn Will and Phil Nickel. They were all on there, and I went and watched these guys, and I went, I know nothing.
Right.
I know absolutely nothing because these guys are all amazing. And it revealed to me in this particular line of work that I had embarked upon that no matter how long you do it, there's still ample opportunity for you to learn and to progress further than what you ever thought was possible. Now, I've subsequently come to understand that is applicable to all of us across any platform you care to sort of apply it to. Whether you want to look at it in family, in employment, in relationships between yourself and anyone else, there's always something more that you can do.
Well, okay, but what do you do with that? What do you do with that? Because that seems to me an extremely scary place to be. Because am I not wrong in what you're saying that you have to be open to consistently being ready for change, to be ready to adapt, to be ready to evolve?
But everything has changed.
Yeah, but
whether you want to admit it or not, everything changes.
Right. But we don't want to admit it. No day is
exactly the same.
No
day is exactly the same. The cells that are in your body now are not the cells that were there when you were 2. We replace every single cell in our body over a period of about 7 years.
True.
So,
yeah. I mean, I just said true, but I don't know. I'm just trusting you. But science backs you up, so that's good. But
well, I mean, I read it. I didn't conduct the study myself. But I mean, yes, it's so much easier to become complacent and settle for what you've achieved so far.
Yes.
But then eventually boredom's going to kick in. And then you start to question, well, you know, I've done everything that I thought I was supposed to do. Why don't I feel happy?
Yes. Well, it's one of the things that I've been trying to focus on is less of the destination, which is a real trap you can fall into. You know, what will it be like when I have, you know, A, B, and C, and more focusing on, and this gets really cheesy for me, but I'm a pretty cheesy guy, trying to acknowledge and get the dopamine hit from the journey, right? Like making the time for us to talk I'm trying to reward myself for that because it's something worthy of reward. But why I push a little bit hard at the moment is trying to articulate, because I don't think that many people do articulate actually why we should give ourselves a thumbs up for this moment. Why not follow the pursuit of, you're going to be an international whatever, you know, I'm going to be this and that. Everyone else is going to have the amazing life if we just give it up for the short term. I don't know. It's confusing, I guess is what I'm saying.
I think for me personally, my grandfather led a phenomenal life. Phenomenal life. And I didn't find anything out about it until I was 24.
Right.
You know, when he died. He ran away from home at 14 with his brother's birth certificate, which he'd doctored, joined the army so that he could be involved in World War II, lasted 3 months in the New Zealand Army before he was dishonourably discharged for striking an officer. So he went and joined the Navy, lasted 3 months in the New Zealand Navy before he was dishonourably discharged for striking an officer. So then he went over to Australia, joined the Australian Navy, lasted 2 weeks before he was dishonourably discharged for striking an officer. And on his way out the door, his camp commandant said to him, you know, what's the way at the rate that you're going, you're going to run out of allies to fight with, and the only way you're going to be involved in this war is if you go and fight for the Nazis. And quite frankly, you'd be doing us all a favour if you did. So he pulled his head in, and he ended up joining the English Navy, saw out the war with them. He was in the Sea of Japan when Hiroshima went up. He was at the fall of Hong Kong. He joined the Malaysian Constabulary after the war, became a gun runner and a smuggler, got caught, had to escape, changed his name, joined the Merchant Marines, sailed around the world for a couple of years, had an international arrest warrant out for him, and then he changed his name again, bought a Woolworths franchise, came back to New Zealand, started New Zealand's first Woolworths.
Whoa. That's quite a journey.
He'd done all of this, bearing in mind that he left home when he was 14. He'd done all of this by the time he was my age when I found this out. And when I found that out, I sort of thought to myself, he's done all of this stuff by the time he was my age. What have I done with my life? And I sort of looked back and I thought, well, I finished school. And, well, that's about it, really. There's no other points of note. So that inspired me to just go out and do all the weird, crazy stuff that no one else really gets to do.
Okay, well, let's, on that moment, take a break. And when we come back, can we start with where it begins?
Sure.
The weird and crazy, right after this break with Andre King. Okay, Andre, let's go back. Look, grandfather goes out, lives a life. You don't find out about it until you're the same age as when he's done all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
Is this a please blow my mind moment where you are saying to yourself, I got a life to live?
Yes, 100%.
And are
ironically, at his funeral, I'm saying this to myself.
Oh, wow. So you're cognizant of this exact moment. And what do you remember exactly what you're feeling?
Yeah, that I was letting the team down.
Wow.
My grandfather had led this amazing life, and here I was just squandering the opportunity I had, working a 9-to-5 job. It wasn't a particularly good job. I didn't enjoy it. I didn't like it. There wasn't a lot going on for me at that point. It was a wake-up moment.
Now, can we just preface something before you take us down this journey? Because here's the bit I think gets a bit misinterpreted. Just because you're going off on this voyage, if you like, there's still no guarantees you get anywhere, right? It's the pursuit of trying.
Sure. There's never any guarantee that, you'll... Well, is there a guarantee? I guess there's nothing written. There's no legal contract that says if you do this and you work hard enough, you're going to achieve it, because that doesn't happen. But what I have discovered is stickability, man. Stickability.
Just define that for me.
So to succeed in comedy, right, as a comedian, you do not have to be the funniest person in the world, right? When I started, I most certainly was not the funniest person who started the same year that I started. However, of all of the people who started at the same time that I started, I'm the only one left. Wow. And in fact, I'm pretty sure that I'm the only one left of all of the people who started the year after me as well. So, as you move through time, people sort of begin to recognize who you are because they've heard about you and they've possibly seen you. And then all of a sudden, you're the only person left. So you're the one that they call to go and do the gig. So there's a certain amount of success that you can sort of suck from the marrow of life just by outlasting everyone else.
I love that. Because that is actually fair. If you're willing to put up with it for long enough, then you should deserve some...
And of course, the other thing is the longer you're in it, the more you learn, the better you get, the longer you're in it. So it becomes this sort of cyclical thing of, success breeds more success.
But how important is the initial direction? How important is that? And I guess I'm relating it to, at the beginning, talking about the early navigators, particularly from the Pacific, where for me, I would believe it took huge courage to go off without, much apart from trusting that you'll know what to do.
Who are you talking about, though? Are you talking about Maui or are you talking about Kupe?
I'm not talking about any one thing specific. I'm talking about the metaphor itself of traveling into the unknown.
See, I'm not entirely 100% sure that it was all that unknown, realistically.
Okay.
Like, Kupe, as far as I was aware, was the first person who discovered New Zealand. And then, of course, he went back to the Cook Islands, and then Maui went back down. But he kind of had Kupe's knowledge.
Right.
To guide him. So, but still, he could have lied. He could have just made it all up. So there's still that chance that you're setting sail just going, well, Kupe said it was this way. Oh, boy, I hope he wasn't telling Teka. I hope he wasn't some tusitala.
Yeah, we all... were partying before the internet and stuff like that. So there was always those, you just head down the road, turn left, first right, and it's somewhere at the third tree.
Yeah.
And,
About the third tree along, you'll see the lights.
And it worked.
Yeah.
It worked.
Well, more often than not. But yeah, there is a certain amount of courage that one has to find within themselves in order to pursue any goal, really. And I think ultimately tenacity will see you through the tough times.
Look, just because I'm me, just define what you mean by tenacity. Because I'm only following out because I don't want it to be like assumed, like, I know what you mean, bro. What do you mean?
Resilience, tenacity.
Yep.
Whatever course you choose, whether it's jumping into a waka and paddling off into the horizon, or in my case, becoming a stand-up comic and pursuing that career for 20 odd years, stick with it. Stick with it, and good things come to those who wait, man.
I noticed that before, or in the last segment, I said we're going to talk about that journey, and we didn't. I took you down another road. We'll go to another break. This is like me holding the audience. But let's go the chronological order, because in my mind now, everything before 24... Yeah, we'll go because after 24, that was your grandfather's funeral. That's right. And then you pursued stand-up?
Not immediately, no.
So there was what was there, an exit strategy out of a certain amount of things that you were doing?
Well, I had become a prize fighter, a martial artist. I had secured the New Zealand super heavyweight Muay Thai kickboxing championship at that point by dint of the fact that I was it was very early on in the game, and I was almost the only one in my weight class, and there were heavyweight fighters that weren't heavy enough to come up to the super heavyweight. So, when I started doing it, it was just basically me. And anyway, I joined the army at that point, had gotten injured and had come out. And that's when Granddad passed, and it was like, well, what have I done really?
Okay, stay with us, team. We're gonna rejoin Andre straight after this. Where does it begin? Where does, I mean, are all of these locked in your head? Like, do you see them all clearly each step of the way? Do you see your whole journey clearly each step of the way? I'm fascinated with how your mind works.
There are large portions of my life that I've just kind of jammed into a drawer and go, I'll come back to you later.
Yeah.
But the key elements stick out. So I think the first thing that I did after Granddad passed was I became a process server, which was cruising around a process server. Yeah.
I don't know what that is.
That's a good thing that you don't know what that is.
Okay.
A process server is someone who serves court documents.
Oh, right. Like, Mr. Fleming, you've been served.
Yes.
Oof.
Exactly right.
Right. So absolutely no one likes to see you.
No. No one wanted to see me on the doorstep. And working as a process server, I was working for a private investigator. And the private investigator kind of took me under his wing and taught me all about private investigation as well as process serving. Started giving me a basis in law, sort of at least an understanding of contracts and family law, contract law, torts, all that sort of stuff. And then because of what he taught me, I was then able to get a job working for a debt collection agency, which again further expanded my knowledge of law, but also then brought in credit control. And then from the credit control side of things, I then got into Tyco and Armaguard, which is a Fortune 500 company. They were all ISO 9002 rated, so that increased sort of my skill base and knowledge with that again. I then moved over from there to Carter Holt Harvey, and from Carter Holt Harvey into another investigation agency. Only this time I was running it. And then after I think a year and a half, 2 years with working for someone else, I ended up setting up my own investigation agency, which we ran for I think 5 years. And at the time, we had between 60 and 70 contractors working for us. We had an annual turnover of around $5.5–6 million.
Whoa!
And we were arguably the top investigations agency in the country.
Okay, so how does that get to stand up?
Well, while I was out one night, I went around to a friend's place. She was having a party, and she introduced me to this guy who was a comic. And he said he'd been a magician, and I said, "Oh, I'm sort of a magician as well." Having my grandfather, when I was a kid, used to show me magic tricks. So when I had kids, I wanted to show my kids magic tricks and give them a sense of magic and wonder in the world, the same as I had growing up. So when I met this guy, Vaughn, and it turned out that he was a magician as well, and he'd given that away to pursue stand-up comedy, we clicked. We got on like a house on fire, and he said, "You and I, we should do something." And then there was another guy called Jeff, and he said, "Yeah, we should all do something." And I'm like, "Who's this guy?" And he's like, "Oh, he's my mate." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." So we ended up doing a sketch comedy troupe, which we named LMAO, because back then, sort of chatting, it was all done through ICQ and MSN Messenger, and LMAO was a new thing back then. For chat acronym for laughing my ass off. We did 3 shows. We got great responses, and then Vaughn quit.
Right.
He said he didn't want to become famous as part of a troupe. He'd been working as a solo stand-up, so he wanted to go and pursue that. He'd spent 2 years towards being a solo stand-up, so he wanted to go and pursue that. So I said, "Great. Well, I have this great job, running my own company. I have no desire to be a stand-up comic." And this other guy, Jeff, said, "Well, I'm going to go and be a stand-up comic." So 6 months go by. I'm ghostwriting jokes for Vaughn, sending them off to him, and he's sort of sending them back to me going, "You should really be the one performing this." And I'm like, no, I don't want to be a stand-up comic. And then I heard through the grapevine that Jeff had made it into the Raw Comedy Quest finals for 2003, I think it was. And he'd started giving it all of that, talking about the comedy troupe and how they had cut dead wood from the act. And that's why Vaughn was still pursuing his career, and that's why he was working as a solo stand-up, and that's why I was no longer in the industry, which I thought was a bit raw, considering that he was there based entirely on material that we'd written. Vaughn and I had written for the comedy troupe. He'd taken and used that to get into the Raw Comedy Quest finals. So I kind of got into comedy out of spite.
Right.
Because I had all this material that I'd written and thought, well, yeah, fine, I'll go and do it. So, I went and did I made it into the finals. But then with the second performance that I had, the producers from Pulp Comedy were there, and they came down and said, "We want you on Pulp Comedy." And I'm like, okay. So they put me on Pulp Comedy in 2003. I was on with Flight of the Conchords and Taika Waititi. and yeah, got my first professional gig. I think it paid like $1,700, which was enough at that point to recarpet my house. And I went back to the Classic to continue and go and perform in the Royal Comedy Quest, to be told, oh, the Royal Comedy Quest is for amateur comedians. You've been paid. You're now a pro comic, so you are unable to compete.
Right. So
like,
your reason for getting in for Revenge, you couldn't do it.
No. Well, no, I couldn't. I couldn't do it. Ultimately, in the end, and the reality was that once he didn't win the Royal Comedy Quest that year, and within 6 months he wasn't able to write any material that was funny by himself either. So he quit. Now, last I heard, he was working as a paddy instructor in New Plymouth.
Do you ever think about catching up
with who?
That dude.
No.
What about if we did a podcast?
Well, I have no interest.
Tonight, I'm pleased to blow my mind.
Tonight, Andre, I'm pleased to tell you we have Jeff.
Yeah, joining us. Yeah, I'd like to tell my end of the story. Jeff, if you see this, I'd be keen to chat to you, bro. I think this is kind of intriguing. Yeah. But look,
so, as a result of sort of getting into it and realizing that, okay, I've got a knack for this. I'll pursue it and I'll see how far we go. It's literally taken me around the world now. So I've performed, I think, in 40 different countries around the world now. And now I'm back home and looking to head down to Nelson at the end of the month, and hopefully we'll set up a comedy circuit called Top of the South.
Wow, that's awesome. And I saw something on social media, Andre. Is it like a quartet or something like that?
The Howard Morrison Quartet, that one?
Yeah. Yes. So what? Are you going on tour?
Yeah. Who knew?
Well, that's why I'm like a bit like, whoa, you can sing too?
Yeah. Well, I used to sing when I was a kid. I used to sing country and western songs. Was quite heavily involved in the country music scene. My father was the lead guitarist for Patsy Rigger, who's currently over in Nashville, working over there. And he heard me singing one night, and the next thing I know, I'm on stage and wearing silk cowboy shirts and hats with feathers in them and leather riding boots, yodeling away. They called me the yodeling half pint. More like a 10-gallon hat these times. So, yeah.
Can you still yodel?
Yes, and no, I'm not going to.
Oh, Andre, give me the scoop.
No, not with this microphone.
We haven't finished.
Not with these acoustics.
Listen. Okay, wait, let's go to a break and let's come back. It's become my mission in life now to hear a yodel. Stay with us, team. Back with Andre in a sec. Andre King, you're so fascinating. I've talked to you probably 5-6 times. Every time we talk about something different. Is it actually weird, right? Is it fun for you to have such a variety of experiences? I mean, what is it that's driving this?
I love it. Any opportunity I have to do something that's just a little off center, I'm going to give it a go. I'm going to try it because who knows? Who knows where it'll lead? Who knows who's watching? Who knows what will happen as a result of that? You know, a lot of the time, you don't realize the life you've led until you look back on it. You know, and there's been so much weird stuff that I've been involved in, but it's made for some great stories. I'm the only person I know who's ever punched a giraffe.
Keep going.
Right.
What? Give me some other Andre facts. Come on, let's bring them up.
I once got into into the middle of a turf war between Colombian drug lords in Hong Kong.
Don't stop, please.
I was accidentally arrested in Thailand because of my driver's name.
What was the driver's name?
Bumsuck. His name was Bumsuck, and it freaked me out the first time I met him because he's holding a placard at the airport with my name on it, and I went up to him and went, "Hey man, I'm Andre." And he says, "Hello sir, my name's Bumsuck." I said, "I'm sorry, what?" He says, "My name Bumsuck." I went, "Your name's Bumsuck?" He says, "Yes, my name Bumsuck." "What's the problem with my name?" I said, "No problem. It's just a hell of a verb. You know, it's a bit of a doing word, isn't it, Bumsuck?" He says, "Well, no, my name, I'm very proud of my name. My father, his name Bumsuck. My grandfather, his name Bumsuck. I come from a long line of bumsuckers." So, you know, he said, "We all live together, same household." I said, "Really? You all live together? Doesn't it get confusing though if you're all named like what if somebody rings on the phone and says, 'Hello, I want to talk to Bumsuck.' How do you know who they want to talk to?" And he says, "Oh, very simple, sir. You see, my grandfather, he is old Bumsuck. My father, he is big Bumsuck, and me, I am young Bumsuck." So, of course, after the gig, I'd had a wee bit to drink and found myself wandering down Bangla Road, which is the main red light district. I didn't know it was the red light district, and I'm just going up to every local I can find, just going, "Excuse me, have you seen Bumsuck?" And, of course, these guys are standing outside clubs and brothels and stuff, and they just look at me. They don't know I'm looking for my driver. They just think I'm a pissed-up Westerner. So, of course, they're just looking at me going, "Yes, sir, plenty Bumsuck just inside. Come on in, come on in." So, of course, I go in. My driver's not in there, and I come back out again and go, No, I'm looking for young Bumsuck." And that's how you get arrested in Thailand.
Oh, I can just about guarantee that tonight on Audiana TV, this has been the most interesting moment. You know, we've seen international Pacific Island films, we've seen, you know, documentaries and insightful conversations, and then we've had Andre King talking about young Bumsuck.
Yeah.
It is.
There was another time in Rarotonga as well, yeah, with Tim Huerta Morrison.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Yep.
No, yeah. Don't stop there. Come on.
Well, we'd gone out to Coco Putt to watch the local musicians perform because, you know, Tim, he likes a bit of a sing song, bit of a jam on the old guitar there, yeah, bit of a cunny. So of course we stroll on in, we sit down the back, we're listening to the tunes, and this old Raro fisherman comes up, he clocks Tim, he comes up and he says, "Hey bro, are you that fella from that movie?" And Tim looks up at him and goes, "Yeah, bro." And he says, "Oh, I liked you in that movie. Do you mind if I sit down?" And Tim's like, "Yeah, sweet as, bro. Come on, pull up a seat." So the guy sits down and he orders a round of beers for us, and beers come over. And he's wearing this Indian head T-shirt. And Tim leans forward and he says, "Oh, that's a nice shirt you got there, bro. That's a nice shirt. Where'd you get a shirt like that? Did you get it from the islands? If you got it from the islands, I might go and buy me a shirt like that myself." The guy says, "Oh, I actually got this over in Venice Beach." And Tim says, "Venice Beach? Oh, I've been to Venice Beach. Oh, the next time I'm in Venice Beach, I'll go and check it out." The next thing I know, this guy's gotten up from the table. He's gone to the bathroom. He's come back wearing a completely different shirt. And he's got the Indian head shirt wrapped up, and he hands it over to Tim. And he says, "There you go, bro. You can have that shirt." And Tim's like, "Oh, mate, I can't take your shirt, bro. I can't take your shirt. This is your shirt. You got it from Venice Beach. And the guy says, no, I got 20 of them. You can have that one. So Tim sort of unfurls it. He has a look at the Indian head on it and turns it around. He says, Dre, look at this, bro. Look at this. This fella just gave me the shirt off his back. Just gave me the shirt off his back. That's a phrase, you know. Because Tim does this thing where he likes to repeat things. He says things twice, but slightly different, right? He says, yeah, just gave me the shirt off his back. He just gave me the shirt off his back. You know, that's a phrase, right? And I went, yep, I'm familiar with the phrase, Tim, familiar with the phrase. So, of course, we all then went back to listening to the music and watching the band. And I could see the old fisherman there sitting at the table, and he's checking out Tim, and I can see him just thinking to himself, yeah, I'm going to be able to tell all of my mates that Tim Morrison, the guy from that movie, is wearing my shirt. And I can see Tim sitting there admiring the shirt going, yeah, I'm going to look pretty cool in this Indian head t-shirt. And I just sat there holding my beer. I thought, so I leaned over the table and I said to the old fisherman, I said, those are some nice shorts you got there, bro. Next thing you know, beer is being spat across the table and people are laughing. It's good.
That's brilliant. Andre King, I asked you at the beginning of the podcast, what is it that you do? I guess I'll rephrase that question. What is it that you're here to do?
You know, I'm pushing 50 years old these days, and I still don't have any idea.
Did you think you would? You would? Yeah.
God, I hope not. I hope not. I sincerely hope that I never develop a calling. Because if I did, and it wasn't what I was currently doing, I'd be really upset that I'd wasted all these years mucking about with this other stuff when I should have been achieving and pursuing my calling. The reality is, for me, I think, I do things that bring me joy. And one of the things that bring me joy is creating joy for others. Yeah. So I've kind of got my fingers crossed that that's going to be my calling. I don't know if it is. And I've always looked at stand-up and comedy in particular as being a form of healing. So I just really kind of happy doing that right now. But of course, with COVID hitting, it means it's more and more difficult for us to make a living doing that, particularly when 90% of what I did was overseas. So not a lot of overseas travel, not a lot of overseas bookings right now, which has meant a slight sort of pivot into singing with the Howard Morrison Quartet.
I love it that you can pivot. I think that's one thing that I really want myself to be listening harder and to everyone else is that, you know, I don't like that COVID made us all so vulnerable. And I mean that health-wise and, you know, job-wise and everything. It picked on, the more rigid you were, it picked on you. And I just love the fact that like I set up my podcast the day after lockdown in the garage, and, you know, everyone was like, how'd you move on that so quick? I'm like, well, I've been doing it for free for years. I'll just do it for free from here. In fact, it's cheaper because I don't have to go out now, you know? Yeah. So it was really interesting. Yeah, exactly. And I just think there's something about what you do. And I try not to ever put my finger on exactly it, but it is just the idea that the world needs an Andre King to keep exploring, to keep pushing, and then to report back in to tell us.
I'm not even nearly that important.
Well, you are to me, and so I'm going to edit that out of you saying that, because lots of people don't think they're important, but it's the narrative and the bravery that I pick up on to try it. Even in, you know, why do you give up a $5 million business, right? and why do you pursue a career that's harder than anything? And
it wasn't for me, the business, in the end. I'd spent 10 years doing it, and I wasn't happy. I mean, the only thing that has really driven me has been do what makes you happy. And, working as a private investigator, doing undercover work, having access to pools of information that aren't generally accessible by the general public. It's all very cool. It sounds cool. Sounds like a cool job. People were mightily impressed whenever you said, I'm a private investigator. They're like, really? It's like, yeah, because how often do you get to meet a private investigator? Not that often. And half the time when you do meet them, they're working, so they can't even tell you what they do for a living. But it just didn't make me happy. Performing stand-up makes me happy. Working with the Howard Morrison Quartet, it makes me happy. Working as a magician, that made me happy at that point in time. Working on cruise ships, that didn't particularly make me happy, but the pay packets did make me very happy. Yep. And I think ultimately what it comes down to is, if I can offer one piece of advice to the listeners out there, it's take stock of your life. Whatever it is that you're doing right now, right this very moment, whether it's job, whether it's relationship, if it does not bring you joy, and if you are not incorporating your joy into that which you do, get out and find something else. Now, as far as relationships goes, that goes for relationships as well. If you're miserable in your relationship, how miserable is your partner? And if you truly care about your partner, then do the right thing. Get out and allow your partner the opportunity to find someone who they can love with everything that they've got. And it also allows you the opportunity to find someone that you can love with everything you've got. And if there are kids involved, then what you end up doing is providing two stable homes with two sets of loving parents, rather than one toxic sort of environment to raise your kids in. If it's your work, then find joy in what you do. And if you cannot find joy in what you do, then just go and do whatever else it is. Yep. Is it going to be hard? Absolutely. Is it going to be worth it? Absolutely.
I love talking to you. I've told you this before, and I tell you it again. You're just a pretty special person to me, because I don't know, you just seem to pop up every now and then. So I thank you, bro, for taking time to talk to me again and talking to us. It's special that I get to bring these people I've met in my life to this Audiana TV audience, guaranteed. No one rolls how we do. And you put up with my blabbering and trying to get to a point, then you nail it straight on its head. And look, it's an absolute pleasure. One of life's pleasures is talking and, mucking around with imagination, but especially with you, because you got a way of making everyone think, be a bit brutal on themselves, and then to just have a giggle about it and move on.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I'm not saying anything that hasn't been said 1,000 times before by 1,000 people far more eloquent than I. Shakespeare even said, "This above all, to thine own self be true." Be true to yourself. Be true to others.
Didn't it end with a yodel?
No. If you want the yodel, I appreciate the kind of turn that you made there, that 180 into there was the setup, and then it kind of went into the punchline there, but it just kind of tailed off right at the end. You lost confidence right at the very end there.
Don't treat me like a heckler. Okay, Andre, we're going to wrap it here. Look, you mentioned you need a good mic. I've got one of those. I'm going to come and bring a nice big camera, and we're going to record that yodel. And
come to one of the shows, man. Come to one of the shows. You'll see us doing it there.
Okay, beautiful, brother. Where can people follow you? Where can they follow the journey, the quartet, everything else?
So the information on the quartet can be found through Pacific Entertainments. You can follow me with the name just there on the screen, at Andre King Comedy, or that one there, or that one there. Ooh, the double finger point.
Yeah, but on my screen, there's nothing.
Oh, really? There's nothing?
And so you were just doing this.
I'm just doing that?
Yeah.
Oh.
It's beautiful, though.
All right. Well, you'll have to put the graphics in post.
No, this is not how I do it. Okay, hold on. I'll give it one more go. Give us a bit of a yodel, and I'll put the graphics on.
Really?
I mean, yeah.
I don't believe that you're going to put the graphics on.
Look, I'll put the damn graphics on if you yodel.
Put the graphics on. I'll yodel.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, an exclusive yodel from Andre King, and I will put the graphics on.
Did you just wink? You winked. You winked when you said you will put the graphics on.
No, I didn't.
There was a wink.
Ladies and gentlemen.
I saw a wink.
I will put the graphics on if Andre King... Oh, come on. This is not good television. If I'm promising you that I'll put the graphics on. I said I'll put the graphics on.
All right. Yodelay-doo-dee-oh-yodelay-doo-dee. There you go. Come and see the show.
Yes, that's awesome. All right, Mr. King. Thank you so much. We'll touch base another time soon, eh?
All right, man.
Sweet.
I love you guys.
Yeah.
All right? You guys are amazing. Amazing. Watch the show.
See you, brother.
All right. Take it easy.